Hello everybody, this is Talon with another Nutrition Tier List, a series where I break down all the options in a given food group and rank them based on how nutritious they are and how good they are for your health. About 2 years ago, I made a video ranking what I consider to be the most commonly eaten vegetables. But there's a lot of different kinds of vegetables, many that y'all regularly eat, that I had barely been exposed to. I was never going to be able to cover all of them in one video, thus the demand for a part 2. Even to this day, the word vegetable is still kind of a loose term. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to define it as any edible part of a plant that is not the fruit. A definition that I guarantee I have not fully followed in the past and will probably not follow to a T in the future. The biological semantics don't really interest me all that much, and I'm assuming they don't really interest most of you either. What does interest me though is their nutrition. And in that realm, it's hard to deny that vegetables have more to talk about. It's pretty well known that they're not perfect and they're not the most bioavailable food group on the planet, but their merit lies in other forms. Pretty much no other foods on earth will give you such a high nutrient to calorie ratio, as most veggies are pretty much entirely void of fat and they won't contribute many calories from carbohydrates as well. Thus, they allow you more caloric flexibility in your diet. They're often readily available, fresh, versatile, and fairly innocent, there to provide you with many of the components your body needs beyond calories. Vitamins, minerals, fibers, antioxidants, special starches, and so much more that we'll unpack in the main portion of the video. So, looking at the tiers for this video, we're going to be comparing the nutrient content and benefits of each vegetable against any shortcomings or health concerns that they may have. Keep in mind that these lists are ranked independent of each other, so an A-tier vegetable may not equate to an A-tier meat or an A-tier fruit. The only exception being that I'm going to try and stay as consistent as possible with the first vegetable tier list. All numerical nutritional information on this list and across this series will be based on 100 grams of the individual food for the sake of consistency and ease of comparison. And this is probably going to be a longer one, so plant yourself in a seat and let's get to the list. First on this list, alfalfa sprouts are a lower calorie vegetable with a solid micronutrient profile per calorie. It is high in protein per calorie compared to most of the items on this list, and it is the best source on either list of vitamin B5, pantothenic acid, which helps with proper utilization of macronutrients. Arguably, alfalfa's best studied health benefits is its LDL cholesterol lowering effects, which is largely attributed to its high saponin content. They've also been used to lower blood sugar levels and are shown to ease symptoms of menopause. Overall, alfalfa sprouts are a nutritious option, safe for the general population, and I'm going to put them in the B tier. Arrowroot is a higher calorie vegetable with a good micronutrient profile. Arrowroot is a starchy vegetable higher in carbohydrates than most others. A notable amount of it is something called resistant starch, which aids with satiety and acts as a prebiotic, supplying energy to healthy gut bacteria. In turn, this has also led to arrowroot supporting immune health in various ways. It's also the best source on either list of folate, which is needed for cell formation, especially red blood cells. But overall, arrowroot is fairly standard for a root vegetable, and I'm going to put it in the B tier. Bamboo shoots are an incredibly low-calorie vegetable with a mild micronutrient profile. They're a solid source of potassium per calorie, and they're shown to promote gut health and improve heart health by lowering LDL cholesterol. That being said, when fresh, they contain toxic amounts of taxiphyllin. It is recommended that you soak and boil them before consumption to rid of it. This will also significantly lower their goitrogen content, substances that can impair thyroid function, and their anti-nutrient content, that being tannins, phytates, and oxalates, which are shown to inhibit absorption of certain micronutrients. Overall, bamboo shoots are a fine choice with a lot of disclaimers, and I'm going to put them in the C tier. Bean sprouts are a lower calorie vegetable with a quality micronutrient profile. It's a good source of protein per calorie as well as copper and folate. They're rich in insoluble fiber, which helps regulate digestion, and they help with blood sugar control. Bean sprouts are also full of bioavailable antioxidants, various flavonoids, and phenolic compounds. They do contain some anti-nutrients, namely phytic acid and tannins, but these can be lowered via cooking. Much like other sprouts, these have a fair amount to offer, and I'm going to put them in the B tier. Beet greens are a low-calorie vegetable with a spectacular micronutrient profile. It's among the best sources on either list of vitamin K, potassium, and carotenoids including lutein and zeaxanthin, which combat macular degeneration. Beet greens are also a good source per calorie of copper, magnesium, and vitamin C. They contain these compounds called glucosinolates, which have anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and anti-cancer benefits. But they also contain a fair amount of oxalates when raw, which can inhibit nutrient absorption absorption and potentially contribute to kidney stones. But like most greens, beet greens' sheer nutrient density cannot be denied, and they're going to be the first on this list to land in the top tier. Bitter melon, also known as bitter gourd, is a very low-calorie food with a decent micronutrient profile. When it's raw, it's the best source on this list of vitamin C, an antioxidant needed for tissue repair in the body. It's also a good source of folate and potassium per calorie. Bitter melon contains a fair amount of other antioxidants as well, including catechin, gallic acid, and chlorogenic acid, which combat long-term inflammation and chronic diseases. It has long been used to improve blood sugar control by promoting the secretion of insulin, but may interfere with insulin and diabetes-related medications. Overall, a good choice for some green on your plate. I'm going to put bitter melon in the B tier. Broccoli rabe, also known as rapini, is a low-calorie vegetable with an impressive micronutrient profile. It's a surprisingly decent source of protein per calorie, and it's among the best sources of vitamin K and carotenoids that can be converted into vitamin A. It's also a solid source of vitamin C and folate per calorie. Broccoli rabe is higher in prebiotics that feed beneficial gut bacteria, and it contains glucosinolates with their anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial benefits. Overall, broccoli rabe is a nutritious choice that I'm going to put in the A tier. Cassava is the highest calorie vegetable on either list with a subpar micronutrient profile. It is the highest in carbohydrates on either list. Being a root vegetable, it's very starchy. A noteworthy amount of that is resistant starch, which passes our digestion to feed our beneficial gut bacteria. And I'm not going to lie, that is kind of it. It's easily the least nutritious vegetable per calorie on this list and can be quite toxic if eaten raw. If this is your starch of choice, then that's fine, but cassava doesn't really do anything better than any other vegetables, and I'm going to put it in the D tier. Celeriac, also known as celery root, is a low-calorie vegetable with a mediocre micronutrient profile. It's a decent source of vitamin K, and it's rich in antioxidants, mainly polyphenols, that contribute anti-inflammatory and LDL-lowering effects. Actually, many of its nutrients and compounds can benefit heart health as a whole. But celeriac is simply one of the less nutritious picks on this list, and I'm going to put it in the C tier. Chinese broccoli is a lower-calorie vegetable with a solid micronutrient profile. It's a good source of vitamin K, vitamin C, folate, and carotenoids like beta-carotene. Chinese broccoli also contains glucosinolates like sulforaphane, which have anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and anti-cancer benefits. Cruciferous vegetables like Chinese broccoli are consistently shown to boost heart health. Overall, a pretty nutritious and innocent choice that I'm going to put in the A tier. Daikon is a very low-calorie vegetable with a mild micronutrient profile. It's a cruciferous vegetable, and it's closely related to radishes. Daikon is a solid source of vitamin C and copper per calorie, and it contains polyphenol antioxidants, quercetin, and ferulic acid, providing anti-inflammatory and immune health perks. It also contains glucosinolates, providing antibacterial and anti-cancer benefits. Overall, daikon is a fine but fairly unimpressive vegetable that I'm going to put in the C tier. Dandelion greens are a lower-calorie vegetable with a stunning micronutrient profile. It contains the most on either list of vitamin E, which mainly functions as an antioxidant combating free radical damage, and when raw, calcium, which largely functions in bone health. They're also among the highest in vitamin K and carotenoids like beta-carotene. Dandelion greens also contain glucosinolates like sulforaphane, contributing anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial benefits. They are, however, fairly high in oxalates, but this is remedied when cooked. Overall, dandelion greens are a highly nutritious choice that are going to land safely in the top tier. Fennel is an average-caloried vegetable with a decent micronutrient profile. It's a solid source of vitamin K and carotenoids that can be converted into vitamin A. It's also a good source of other antioxidants, namely polyphenols including chlorogenic acid, quercetin, and apigenin. These all contribute to the combating of chronic inflammation and chronic diseases. Fennel is also shown to have antibacterial properties and combat age-related cognitive decline. A fine but unspectacular vegetable, I'm going to put fennel in the C tier. Garden cress is a lower-caloried vegetable with an impressive micronutrient profile. It's among the best sources of vitamin K, vitamin C, and carotenoids, and is a solid source of potassium per calorie. Garden cress is shown to combat insulin resistance and protect against the toxic effects of some heavy metals. It does contain some phytates and oxalates, but not really enough to be concerning on its own. Overall, a great choice for a green. I'm going to put garden cress in the top tier. Ginger root is a higher calorie vegetable with a mild micronutrient profile. It's a decent source of copper, but ginger's main draws lie beyond macro and micronutrition. Ginger has a few compounds that give it powerful medicinal benefits. The most notable of these being gingerol, which has antibacterial properties, combats indigestion, and is a natural anti-inflammatory, combating joint pain and muscle soreness. There's also shogal, which combats several chronic diseases, notably neurodegenerative diseases. Ginger is effective at combating nausea and morning sickness and has a significant blood sugar lowering effect. Now, ginger does have some anti-nutrients, namely tannins and oxalates. Soaking and/or cooking helps with this, but realistically, you're probably not going to be eating enough of it for it to seriously detriment you anyways. In the end, there's still nothing quite like ginger and the benefits that it provides, and I'm going to put it in the top tier. Green onion, also known as scallion, is a lower-calorie vegetable with a solid micronutrient profile. It's among the best sources on this list of vitamin K and is a decent source per calorie of vitamin C and carotenoids. Green onion, similar to regular onions, contains a compound called allicin, which provides powerful antimicrobial and anti-cancer effects. And it's rich in antioxidants including quercetin and camphorol, which boost immune health and combat chronic illnesses. Overall, I just have good things to say about green onions, and I'm going to put them in the A tier. Heart of palm is a high-calorie vegetable with a unique micronutrient profile. As the name suggests, it is the inner core of certain palm trees. It's among the highest in carbohydrates on either list and by far the highest in its sugar content, about 17 grams per 100 grams. Per gram, heart of palm is the best source of several micronutrients of all the vegetables covered thus far, those being copper, which is most notably essential for red blood cell production, potassium, which is needed for cellular fluid balance, zinc, which plays various roles in skin and immune health, and phosphorus, which is used in bones, DNA, and cell membranes. It's also among the best sources of vitamin B6. Heart of palm is also rich in polyphenol antioxidants that mainly combat chronic inflammation. A polarizing vegetable to say the least, but one with some serious merit. I'm going to put palm hearts in the A tier. Jerusalem artichoke, also known as sunchoke, is a higher calorie vegetable with a decent micronutrient profile. It's among the highest in sugar on this list, containing about 10 grams per 100 grams. And it's the best source on this list of iron, which is needed for the creation of hemoglobin and oxygen transport throughout the body. Jerusalem artichoke also contains inulin, a prebiotic that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and aids with diabetes, and a notable amount of phenolic acids, which are responsible for most of its antioxidant effects. It does contain a fair amount of oxalates and phytates, which can impair nutrient absorption, but these can be lowered via cooking. One of the more unique options on this list, I'm going to put Jerusalem artichoke in the B tier. Jicama is an average caloried vegetable with a lesser micronutrient profile. It is notably among the highest in fiber, mainly soluble fiber, which improves intestinal health, and it is a decent source of vitamin C. However, jicama contains a compound called rotenone, which can be toxic in large amounts. All this leads me to say that jicama is a generally inferior choice, and I'm going to put it in the D tier. Kohlrabi is a lower-calorie vegetable with a middling micronutrient profile. It's among the better sources of vitamin C, an antioxidant that prevents cell damage, and is a decent source per calorie of copper, vitamin B6, and potassium. Kohlrabi is rich in other antioxidants as well, notably anthocyanins, glucosinolates, and isothiocyanates, contributing to anti-inflammation, heart health, and the combatment of certain chronic diseases. Kohlrabi does contain anti-nutrients, namely oxalates and lectins, but these can be largely removed by cooking. A good vegetable as a whole, I'm going to put kohlrabi in the B tier. Lotus root is a higher calorie vegetable with a moderate micronutrient profile. It's rich in fiber, largely insoluble fiber, which regulates digestive flow, and it's a solid source of vitamin C and copper. On top of vitamin C, it's rich in other antioxidants including quercetin, camphorol, and catechin to combat chronic inflammation. Lotus root actually contains a wide variety of nutrients, but not exactly an impressive amount per calorie when compared to other vegetables, and for that, I'm going to put it in the C tier. Moringa leaves are an average calorie vegetable with a great micronutrient profile. It is the highest in protein on this list while being the best source on either list of vitamin B1 and vitamin B2, which have significant roles in macronutrient metabolism, vitamin B6, which is needed for nervous and immune upkeep, and it's among the best sources of manganese, vitamin K, calcium, and carotenoids as well. Moringa is also rich in antioxidants like quercetin, chlorogenic acid, and isothiocyanates, all all of which combat oxidative damage and chronic inflammation. Moringa is also shown to consistently lower LDL levels, reduce pain from arthritis, and potentially protect against arsenic toxicity. Now, it is higher in anti-nutrients, oxalates, tannins, and saponins, but these are significantly reduced when cooked. Easily one of the most nutritious picks on this list, Moringa is going to be landing safely in the top tier. Nopal is an extremely low-calorie vegetable with a micronutrient profile to match. It is a great source per calorie of manganese, calcium, and magnesium, and it's rich in flavonoids like quercetin and camphorol, which have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. Nopal has strong antiviral and neuroprotective properties and has been used as traditional medicine for many ailments, but to me none of them were backed enough to be individually mentioned. Now, it is high in potentially harmful compounds like tannins, oxalates, and phytates, but can be dramatically reduced by cooking. Nopal is one of the best relevant nutrient per calorie options on here, and I'm going to put it in the A tier. Radicchio is a low-calorie vegetable with a decent micronutrient profile. It's among the best sources on this list of vitamin K and copper and contains a relevant amount of vitamin E, potassium, and vitamin C. Radicchio is also rich in antioxidants, mainly anthocyanins, that prevent oxidative stress and intestinal damage. Not an overly complicated vegetable, but a good one nonetheless. I'm going to put Radicchio in the B tier. Red cabbage, also known as purple cabbage, is a lower-calorie vegetable with a solid micronutrient profile. It's a great source of vitamin C and a good source of vitamin K, vitamin B6, and carotenoids like beta-carotene and lycopene. Red cabbage is also rich in antioxidants, most notably having more anthocyanins and camphorol than green cabbage. It also contains glucosinolates, notably sulforaphane, leading to red cabbage as a whole benefiting heart health and anti-inflammation, especially in the gut. It does contain a notable amount of tannins, but these are removed via cooking. To me, red cabbage is a net upgrade when compared to its green counterpart, and I'm going to put it in the A tier. Red onion is a lower-calorie vegetable with a lesser micronutrient profile. All of onion's most notable benefits come from compounds that are not macro or micronutrients. In terms of antioxidants, red onions contain quercetin, ficedin, a natural anti-cancer, and the one primarily responsible for their unique color, anthocyanins, contributing powerful anti-inflammatory effects. And vegetables related to onions have some more unique compounds as well. Sulfur compounds, most notably allicin, providing antimicrobial, antifungal, and anti-cancer benefits. Red onions are also rich in prebiotics that feed gut bacteria and improve overall gut health. Now, onions are not for everyone, as they have been known to stir up some gastrointestinal discomfort in some people, but for everyone else, there's a lot to love, and I'm going to put red onions in the A tier. Rhubarb is a lower-calorie vegetable with a mild micronutrient profile. It's a decent source of vitamin K, potassium, and calcium, and it has an impressive polyphenol content, mainly anthocyanins, that are responsible for its red color that provide anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer effects. Rhubarb is higher in oxalates, which inhibits nutrient absorption, including the decent amount of calcium it itself provides. Realistically, rhubarb is a fairly standard vegetable, and I'm going to put it in the C tier. Rutabaga is a lower-calorie vegetable with a moderate micronutrient profile. It is a solid source of vitamin C per calorie and a decent source per calorie of potassium and vitamin B6. Being a cruciferous vegetable, rutabaga contains glucosinolates, which have anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, and heart health benefits. Rutabaga is about as bare bones as a vegetable gets, providing nothing unique but also not really doing anything wrong. I'm going to put it in the C tier. Shallots are a somewhat higher-calorie vegetable with a mild micronutrient profile. It's among the highest in sugars on this list, with about 8 grams per 100 grams, and it's a decent source of vitamin B6. Similar to onions, they contain sulfur compounds, notably allicin, which has antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-cancer benefits, and thiosulfonates, a sulfur compound that aids with proper blood clotting. They also contain quercetin and camphorol antioxidants. Shallots do contain some anti-nutrients, namely lectins, phytates, and oxalates, though not nearly as much as many others, and these are still reduced by cooking. Basically, shallots are like a mini sugary onion, and they're going to be going in the B tier. Swiss chard is a low-calorie vegetable with an excellent micronutrient profile. It's the best source on either list of magnesium, which assists in all sorts of bodily processes, and it's among the best sources of vitamin K and carotenoids like beta-carotene, which can be converted into vitamin A. It's also a great source per calorie of vitamin C, copper, potassium, vitamin E, and iron. Chard is also very rich in flavonoid antioxidants, quercetin, camphorol, rutin, and vitexin, which also have anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties. Chard also contains glucosinolates, being a cruciferous vegetable, and is shown to combat insulin resistance. It is somewhat higher in oxalates, which can inhibit absorption of certain nutrients and contribute to kidney stones in excess. Their quantity is, however, significantly lowered when cooked. Overall, Swiss chard is about as perfect as a leafy green gets, and I'm going to put it in the top tier. Taro root is a high-caloried vegetable with a middling micronutrient profile. It's among the highest on this list in carbohydrates and actually the highest in fiber, mainly soluble fiber, which feeds gut flora. It's also rich in resistant starch, which also is used to feed gut flora and prevents blood sugar levels from spiking. Taro root is a decent source of vitamin B6, copper, vitamin E, and potassium, and has several components that actively reduce the risk of heart disease, including quercetin. Taro root does contain oxalates and tannins, which can inhibit micronutrient absorption, but can be somewhat remedied by cooking. A good example of what a root vegetable can offer, I'm going to put taro root in the C tier. Turnip greens are a low-calorie vegetable with a fantastic micronutrient profile. When raw, they're the richest on either list of calcium, which is mainly needed for bone health, and carotenoids, which can be converted into vitamin A and are notably used for the prevention of macular degeneration. They're also among the best sources of folate, copper, and vitamin K, while being a great source per calorie of vitamin C, vitamin B6, and vitamin E. Turnip greens also contain plenty of antioxidants, including a variety of flavonoids like quercetin and camphorol on top of isothiocyanates and, of course, glucosinolates. They do contain a relevant amount of oxalates and phytates, but these can be reduced via cooking. In case it wasn't clear, they're going in the top tier. Thank God for good directions and turnip greens. And last on this list, water spinach is a low-calorie vegetable with an impressive micronutrient profile, and apparently it is not at all related to traditional spinach. It's among the best sources of vitamin K and carotenoids like beta-carotene, lutein, zeaxanthin, and beta-cryptoxanthin, and it's a great source of vitamin C and magnesium per calorie. Water spinach does contain a fair amount of oxalates, but as usual, cooking does help with this. A fantastic choice for some green on your plate, water spinach is going to be rounding out this list in the top tier. So, unsurprisingly, there's a lot of similarities with the first video. By now, I think we all know vegetables and the unique benefits that they offer. With but few exceptions, they're one of the only food groups that's actually hard to consume too much of. The trade-off there is that, as I've said before, they do not stand on their own. The lack of caloric density, of protein and fat, and the wildly disproportionate array of nutrients and compounds vegetables contain means that one shouldn't rely on them for an actual nutritional cornerstone. Though I have a feeling most people on a more plant-based diet figured that out on their own, and the ones that didn't eventually figured it out the hard way. Vegetables are by nature a supplemental food group, but they can benefit and be enjoyed by those who have figured out a proper nutritional foundation. Now, if you enjoyed the video, or at the very least learned a little something, I encourage you to subscribe, as I have plenty more of these on the way. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments what other food groups you think I should rank, and remember that all I ask is that you do your own research and advocate for your body. You only get the one.